was so lazy that I made an effort.
Okay. So before I tell you where we're up to, I'll just start with a little anecdote. So it talks about a lot of tzaddikim that they all asked and dealt with this question. If they would create the world, what would they do differently? And each one had something else that they would change. So I'm turning the question to you. What would you do differently if you would create this world?
That's very funny.
No, how would you make it a better, or like, would you make it maybe
I
without
cannot make it
suffering?
better than God.
You wouldn't make it better than God? No evil.
But God made everything equal, and it's our job to work with it.
So you like it the way it is, that there's a lot of evil and a lot of good, and we're the ones that have to balance it.
Yeah, because we have to overtake.
You wouldn't put terrorists, you wouldn't put suffering, no
No.
evil.
No. So what would people do in the world? Sit and look at the sky?
Okay, so you like the world that's being created. So you are going up the alley of they asked the Alter Rebbe, the one who wrote the Tanya, what would you do differently? And his answer was, I would do it exactly the same way Hashem did it.
Yeah, so there you
I would
go.
create a world the same way Hashem created the world. So today we're going to talk a lot about okay, so I'll tell you where we're holding. Last chapter, we talked about the fact that the neshama came down all the way down here, very low in this world. And we learned the importance of literally doing mitzvot actions, like with our hands, with our feet, like doing physical mitzvot, and how that's better and it affects something more that our heart, that being a Jew at heart, doesn't do. Because when you do a mitzvah, basically you're bringing Hashem's Shekhinah, Hashem's God, the godly light, you're bringing down into your bodies. Your hands become holy, your body becomes holy, everything becomes holy. So now we're left with this question. Okay, thank you very much that the mitzvah makes my body holy, but why do I need my body to be holy? Why do I need Hashem in my body? I'm fine, Hashem can stay up there very high. Hashem can stay in the synagogue. I don't need Hashem inside of me. Like, what's the point? What is the value that I don't have in having Hashem residing within me? Like, why do I need to do that? So as we're trying to answer this question of what's the purpose of the creation of the human being, of our body, like what's the purpose of my personal creation, we still didn't finish answering that question. But before we try to get there, we need to first ask a bigger question to get to that, to answer that question about what my behavior matters and my human being my body being in this world matters. But before that is why did Hashem create a whole world? What's the purpose of the entire creation? And then we're going to see what is my place in the creation. But what is the purpose of the entire creation, the entire world? And this question is going to be even stronger because the world that we're in is so not perfect. It's so full of defects, so full of problems, and so full of suffering, so full of struggles and wars and weaknesses, so full of terrible things. Why did Hashem create a world that's so problematic? Why did he create a world, and why did this world, and why did he create such a world with so many problems? Like, what's the purpose of it here?
Tried to do it perfect by Adams.
You said he started off perfect and we messed up.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Not
well,
Adams.
It's true.
It's
No, we could have stayed in the Garden of Eden, and then everything would have been
Yeah,
okay,
but actually we'll see that Hashem did want to create a world that's not
Yeah.
perfect. We'll learn this today. Okay. So we're gonna understand why. In this chapter, we're gonna understand the purpose of creation, and then it will take us to the next chapter where it's going to help us understand the purpose of the creation of the human being and the advantage of having an action, specifically doing those actions and bringing Hashem down into our body. But we first need to understand what's the purpose of creation, what's the purpose of creating such a problematic and worlds full of terrible things inside. So we already know what is the purpose of creation. No, I'm asking you, what do you already know, and what do you think is the purpose of creation before we go into what the Tanya tells us?
What do you mean by creation? By creating the world?
Yeah, the creation of the world. What's the purpose?
God, well, what we learned that God wanted to make A dwelling
dwelling
in the
place,
world,
yeah.
in the world.
That's the
So
Tanya.
he's up in the heavens, and he wanted also to be down.
Very
in-
good.
In the
So
world.
a lot of people, so that we know that's the Tanya, but if you look at the world and you look at philosophical work and philosophers and people that talk, that have talk shows, they're going to analyze the world and they're going to say, why was the world created? Okay, to be a better place, or maybe some rabbis are going to start saying it's for a tikkun, and we need to fix the neshama, that's why we're here. And everybody's going to come up with different reasons, but in order to know the actual purpose of creation, we need to ask the creator, why did you create the world? Like the best answer will be to ask Hashem, the creator, why did you create the world? And to look at the sources of Hashem, why Hashem created the world. And when we look at the sources, there's actually a lot of reasons of why Hashem created the world. We're going to bring up here two specific ones that are brought in the Kabbalah. Okay. I'll just mention those two, but you should know that there's a few reasons. Number one is Hashem looked for something to make good, something to bring good. He wanted a world that he's going to create to bring goodness to it. Okay. In the Eitz Chaim, it says, Lehitiv lebro'av, to bring goodness to his creations. He wants to make the creations better. And the second thing is that they should know him. Hashem made a world. He created a world that everybody inside should know about Hashem. He doesn't want to be alone. He wants people to know him. He wants creatures to know about him. So the question now is, if we have Hashem creates a world, and inside the world, those two purposes are done, that would be great. Like there should be good we should do good in this world, and everybody should know Hashem. But let me ask you, which world do you think is a world that you see it for real? In Gan Eden or in this world? Are these purposes fulfilled? That everybody knows about Hashem and that everybody's doing good. Is that happening in this physical world, or is that happening in Gan Eden? Yeah, like, so it's clearly this is very good, like, next to Hashem, everybody up there, everybody knows him, everybody knows him, Hashem, everybody's doing what Hashem wants. But in this world, so much evil, and most people don't know about Hashem, or don't care about Hashem. This world is so far from fulfilling the purpose that Hashem created the world for, to bring goodness and that everybody should know him. Like, this world is just not accomplishing this purpose. So it's explaining this purpose. These purposes are explaining why Hashem created the upper worlds, why Hashem created the Gan Eden. He created a Gan Eden because over there they're going to get to know him. He created a Gan Eden, or an upper world, like the high world. Like when when we look up to Hashem, we're like up there. Over there, that world, great. That makes sense that Hashem created that world, because over there we're going to have a place where everybody knows Hashem, where everybody sees Hashem, and there's only goodness. But this doesn't explain why Hashem created this world all the way down here. It doesn't fit with the purpose. This world is not accomplishing any of that purpose. You don't see Hashem here. Why did Hashem create such a low world with so much darkness, and he's completely hidden? Like, he's not like. So the question that remains is, why does Hashem create such a low world, like this low world specifically, a place where we don't recognize Hashem, a place that has so much suffering, so much evil? Why did Hashem create this world? So the answer starts being in the words of the Midrash Tanchuma. It's in the Midrash brings it, and it comes from Shir HaShirim, from the book of songs. And actually, those words are very iconic in the Chabad world. It's the first words the Rebbe said when he became a Rebbe. Bati legani achoti kala. What does it say? It means I came to my garden. Hashem says, I came to my garden, to my beautiful bride, to my sister, my bride. And the Midrash explains there that we're talking about the time of the giving of the Torah. When Hashem gave the Torah, he says, why, like he explains over there, why he created this world. And it says, and over there it explains why did Hashem create this world? Because he got pleasure. Because he had a desire, Hashem had a desire to have a dira
dwelling.
b'tachtonim, a dwelling place down here in this world. Okay, so that the reason for Hashem creating this world is because he had a desire to have a dwelling place in this lowest world. Okay, Hashem wanted to reside, to have a home all the way down here. So let's try to understand those few words. The fact that he had the nitava, HaKadosh Baruch Hu liot lo dira b'tachtonim. Hashem had the desire to have a home, a dwelling place down here in this world. So we're going to explain each word over here, each concept. The word nitava means a desire. It doesn't say that Hashem usually when you want something, it's something that's missing, right? Like you're saying, I need something, it's something that you don't have. But so over here, Hashem wasn't missing anything. Hashem just felt like it. He just wanted. He just like had the desire. It's something that he wanted. It's not something you can explain. Okay, it's not fulfilling something that's missing. It's not a specific need or a specific, it's just that he felt like it and he wanted. Okay, and it shows that there's nothing logical about it. It's not like when you're like, I don't have something, I need it. It's logical. You need it. You need food. You need. But over here, when we say the word specifically, Hashem says, it says nitava, coming from ta'ava, from a desire, from like, I feel like it, I just want it. So we need to realize that the whole purpose of Hashem is something that he felt like having. It's not something that was missing. Hashem was perfectly fine without any of this, but that's what he wanted. That's what he felt like having. That was his desire. Number one.
He got a mishigas.
He got a mishigas. Yeah, call it mishigas, but that's what Hashem felt like having. That was his desire.
That was his
Now the desire was not just that he's perfectly fine without this world. He's perfectly fine up there. No, he wants a dira. Dira is an apartment, like a dwelling place. You know the difference. Sometimes you travel. A lot of like when you travel, you're like, there's nothing like being in my own home, in my own space. Like, like when you come back home, you're like, it's a place at home is where you can express yourself completely. You can be completely yourself. As long as you're in other people's home or on the street or whatever, you're not completely yourself until you're home.
Yeah.
And the same way when Hashem says, I want a home, he says, I want a dira. Specifically, he wants a place where he can reveal himself, a place where he can be himself to his fullest, like he wants to be fully himself, reveal himself completely. Without hiding himself, just be completely at home.
There's lagur and there's ladur. Lagur is just to live somewhere. Ladur is making ownership of the place.
Wow. Okay. So you see, ladur is stronger than lagur. Very nice point. So he really wants to dwell and make it his place completely, a place where he's fully himself. But you need to realize that when Hashem is completely revealed, it's like the strongest light, that us humans can't handle. But he wants to be completely, completely revealed. Not where, but tachtonim. Okay? In this low world. Okay? Hashem wants to be in the low world. He doesn't want to be up there in the high world. Okay? So that's why he created a low world also. Okay? With the problems, with the failures, with the struggles, okay? He made it on purpose that it should be a low world with evil, with terrible things, because that's where he wants to reside. It's not a mistake that he made such a world. He wants that was his original plan. He wants to be specifically down in this world. So I want to share with you a story that just to show you what it means, like what is it that Hashem really wants. You probably heard this story because I shared it already in the past. There was this man that was traveling. It's Professor Velvel Green. Before he became religious, he was traveling and he wasn't keeping kosher. And he was flying, but his rabbi told him, the shliach that was in touch with him, Rabbi Moshe Feller, told him, you know what? Order a kosher meal on the airplane, so you have some kosher food. The problem is that he came on the plane and there was no kosher meal for him. It was a mistake. There was no kosher meal, and he was very hungry. And he gets off the airplane on a stopover, and he's very hungry, and there's like this hot dog stand, and he really feels like taking from it, and he was ready to buy from it, and it wasn't kosher, of course, and it looked amazing, and he was very angry because he thought that he's going to keep kosher on this flight, and the food didn't come, and now he's very hungry. And he said, you know what, before I buy this hot dog, I'm going to call my rabbi and I'm going to tell him, listen, I'm at the airport on a stopover and I'm really angry, and I'm seeing this hot dog stand, and I have to tell you that I'm starving to death because I didn't have my kosher meal on the airplane, and I want you to know
That I'm going to eat it.
yeah, that I'm there's a hot dog stand, I'm going to buy from it in your I'm about to eat from there in your honor. And
It's not like permission.
So the rabbi- no, he's not asking permission. He's just very
wanted
angry, and
to
he's
share.
expressing himself. The rabbi tells him like this. He's like, I asked you asked me many times, what is Judaism? What is it? And today, now, I'm about to tell you what is Judaism. Judaism is to pass by the hot dog stand and not buy a hot dog. Judaism is to go on a flight hungry and not eat the non-kosher food that they're serving you. That is Judaism. So he didn't buy the hot dog, and from that day he started keeping kosher, which means that the entire Judaism is down here in this world where there's a struggle, when it's hard. That's Judaism. That's what Hashem wants. When it's down here, when it's like so crazy and so hard, that's when you really get it. If it's so easy, then that's not Judaism. It's when it's in this world, in this lowest world, in this hard world that is full of temptations, that's when you're making a dwelling place for Hashem, specifically when it's like that. I think this is very powerful. So now let me ask you, try to think why Hashem wanted specifically a dwelling place in a place that's dark, in a place that has evil. Why do you think so?
שלי, אולי תגידי את משהו, כי לי יש המון תמיד מה להגיד.
לא, היא מדברת.
לא, אז תגידי.
You're volunteering me.
It's okay. If she wants to say, she has what to say. Don't worry. Okay, you have what to say? You can
I
answer.
always have what to say.
Would you like to get better? To
For people to improve. Okay, I hear you.
to get around?
No, I think that what Hashem wanted is us to want to do it. Not that he told us. You know how when your child, you come home and you see that they wash the dishes and everything is clean and you didn't tell them how proud you are, right? But you know, like when you tell them, okay, they do it. You're happy, but you're not proud. You know, that's the difference, I think. I
Okay.
think that God really wanted it to come from down, from us, like from when
But how
it's
does it come
hard.
from you when it's hard? Exactly. So technically, as a human being, we can't explain why Hashem chose such a physical world, but we know what he chose. He chose a physical world, okay, like very physical. But what we can understand is that when there's a challenge, a true challenge is when you have to deal with a complicated situation, with a problem, not when everything is easy and
Easy.
simple. Okay, so let me tell you a few examples. An excellent teacher is not a teacher that comes to teach easy students. An excellent teacher is a teacher that knows how to catch the hardest students and figures out how to make them interested. That's a good teacher. You understand? When it's complicated, when it's hard.
in 3,000 משלים. You could go down 3,000 levels to explain.
To
one
explain
thing.
to, yeah, that's an excellent doctor is not when he heals healthy people. It's when he takes the most challenging, unhealthy person and heals him. Somebody that climbs very well. It's not like you can't give him a straight ground, but you give him Mount Everest and he's able to climb it. That's when he faced a challenge. So the same thing, Hashem, there's no challenge when in the upper worlds where Hashem's light shines perfectly. There's no challenge over there. It's easy to serve Hashem. It's easy to do only good. It's easy to see Hashem and to show Hashem that we know about him, right? That's like natural over there. But when there's a challenge, that's when it's special. That's when it's something new. That's what Hashem wants. He wants to be for us to go through the challenge and discover him in the darkness. He wants it to be hard so that we find him in this
Can I
world.
ask you? So
Yes.
why? But we're waiting for Mashiach, so when Mashiach comes, it's gonna be perfect again.
So you
No.
are touching a very perfect point. So I'll tell you what, today we're learning what is the purpose. Next week, the second half of this chapter is talking about when this purpose is going to be fulfilled, and you got the answer. Okay?
No,
We have
because
to
he
work
created
for it.
this
Of
terrible
course.
war, and by the end of the road, he still wants us to be perfect, right?
Yeah. It's not us to be perfect, it's him to be dwelling down in this physical world. But right now we're talking about what is the goal
Mhm.
and how we're fulfilling this goal. That's what the Tanya is trying to bring to us. This is the most fundamental chapter of the Tanya, because and the most meaningful, if you want to have a meaningful life, this is here's the answer. Why are we in this world? Why does Hashem create this world? You want to accomplish something? Look what Hashem wants from you. Anyway, so to have faith in Hashem in a place where it's challenging to have faith in Hashem, that's true faith. Okay, it's literally when you're in face of a challenge, that's when the best comes out. So when we're trying to bring something new, something amazing within the challenge, that's bringing Hashem the biggest pleasure, the biggest nachas. That's what Hashem wants. He wants us to go through the challenge and find him, to go through the challenge and see him. Okay, and just like a person feels fulfilled when you overcame a challenge, that's when you feel like, wow, now I got it. Now I became a good doctor because I figured out how to heal this terrible sickness or whatever it is. So there's an example to this, very cute example. I think the Maggid of Mezrich brings this example. A king, does he enjoy more a parrot talking or his advisors that are giving him amazing ideas that are so smart? So the advisors that are so smart, that's normal. But when a parrot starts talking and saying things, that's whoa, that's so he enjoys more the parrot talking because it's that's when there's something so special. It's wow, his words are coming out of a bird. That's wow. That's so when there's something different, so Hashem enjoys specifically when human beings are doing a mitzvah much more than when the angels up there are serving him. The angels up there serving him, it's the king's advisors giving him ideas. That's normal. The angels serving Hashem, that's normal. That's not the biggest pleasure is when the human beings down here on this world where Hashem is so hidden and where things are so challenging and they're serving Hashem, that's the biggest nachas for Hashem. You understand? That's the beauty of it. That's what's new. Okay, so now we can see those few words in the Tanya and it will all come out very clearly. Okay, so I'm reading the part that's across from the Hebrew, okay? Just this part for now. In a well-known statement, our rabbis declare that the purpose for which this world was created is that the Holy One, blessed be He, desired to have an abode in the lower realms, okay? Abode is the dwelling place, it's the same thing. So Hashem wanted to have a dwelling place in the lower world, okay, down here. That's the purpose of creation. So you see the word, also I want to show you, Shenit Ava, desired. We spoke about the word desire, we spoke about Dira, okay, which is a dwelling place, and Tartanim all the way down here. Okay, hope that's clear. Now we're going to continue outside of here. Okay, where am I? Before I go, I want to share with you a very cute anecdote. Rabbi Yitzhak of Berdichev, it says that he's always he always talks on behalf of the Jews to Hashem. He always is on our side. An advocate, yeah, an advocate. So he said, Hashem, if you would put in front of the eyes of the people the future world, the Gan Eden, and you would put all the pleasures of the world in a book, then the Jews would not sin. But look what you did. You did the exact opposite. You put the Gan Eden and all the good things in a book, And in front of their eyes, you're putting all the desires of the world and all the pleasures of the world. What's the wonder of why they're sinning? So so we see here, based on everything we're saying, that according to the Alter Rebbe, that's exactly the goal of creation. That's exactly the purpose. That's exactly the plan of what Hashem did. That's exactly what he wanted. He wanted to put the Gan Eden in a book and put us in a very strong challenge, in a very hard challenge. Like he wanted to put in front of our eyes all the pleasures of the world. Like that's what he meant to do. He wanted to make this world a low place. He wanted to. And the challenge that we have is to create a dwelling place for Hashem down here in this world full of desires and pleasures and everything, like physical pleasures. Okay, and our challenge is to overcome this with Yetzer Tov, and as the Alter Rebbe says, if he would he change anything from the way Hashem created the world? No. Like, would he make the world without all these challenges and without all this problem? No, that's all part of Hashem's plan. Like, he would make it exactly the way it is. And the plan is that it should be challenging and we should create a dwelling place for Hashem down here in this world. So we know now what the purpose of the creation of the world is, to make a dwelling place for Hashem down here in this world. Now we need to understand, what is this tachtonim? What is this like low world? Like, what is this? What's the difference between the upper world and the lower world? We need to understand this in order to understand how do we do this and how do we get there, and what is it? What is the goal of the world, the creation of the world? So when I tell you upper and lower, according to what criteria will you differentiate them? Physically, spiritually, So you say physically high and physically low. So for example, when you say upper and lower, there's things that are very high, like mountains. There's things that are very low, like plains, like the valleys, right? Like that's on a physical level. Now, when you say on a spiritual level, when you say like high, you're talking about more spiritual, and when you're saying low, you're talking about more physical. That's what you're saying. Sfirot will be like very high, and we are in a very, so the more somebody is spiritual, the higher he is, and the more someone is physical, the lower he is. But the question is, what about Hashem? Is Hashem upper or is Hashem lower? How do you look at Hashem? So typically, at first view, we look at Hashem as upper. Hashem is spiritual, Hashem is high. We always say that when we talk to Hashem, we're looking up. Hashem is in the upper world, Hashem is in the heavens. But the thing is, when you say Hashem is in the upper, we're basically creating you're limiting Hashem. You're saying Hashem is only in the upper. You're creating this like box and saying Hashem is in the upper and Hashem is not in the lower.
No, but aren't there like 7 levels? Like
there's a lot of levels. There's a lot of levels. We'll talk about this today.
so
in a minute.
he's on the upper.
So he's higher in the side. So there's a big chain of like, so the highest is very spiritual and the lowest has zero spirituality. So you're saying Hashem is closer to the top.
I just remember my mother praying, and she used
I know.
to
So that,
refer
but the
to
thing
God
is,
at the 7th.
we all refer
Heaven.
to Hashem as heaven. We all refer to Hashem as
the
higher.
7th heaven.
But if you think about it, when you're saying Hashem is upper, you're basically limiting Hashem and putting him in this like limited space. But and saying that Hashem is more.
lower, no? Shechina.
So let me explain it. The whole situation that will become very clear. Don't worry. But and we think that in order to come closer to Hashem, we need to become more spiritual. The more spiritual I am, the closer to Hashem I'll be, because Hashem is high. Hashem is in the upper. Hashem is not in the lower. And if right, that's what it seems like
It
now.
seems like,
But the truth is, now you see, Hashem is unlimited. Hashem is everywhere. Hashem has no limitation at all and no definition whatsoever. You can't say Hashem is upper or Hashem is lower. Hashem is everything. Hashem is unlimited. So the upper is not closer to Hashem than the lower. Hashem is both, okay? Not just that. It's not that Hashem himself is not higher or lower, but Hashem is also present in the higher as much as he is in the lower. He is high and low, like he's everywhere. I'm saying, but also we find him as much. He's present in the same exact amount, up higher and lower. He's everywhere in the same exact amount. He's not more in the upper world than he is in the lower world. Okay, he's present in both in the same exact amount.
That's
Okay.
the difference between who.
Yeah, we're saying Hashem is here, Hashem is there, Hashem is everywhere.
Every-
But somehow, when we think is Hashem is the higher or lower, we right away say Hashem is high. Somehow there's something about it that we say spiritual is high. So let's differentiate what's going on here. So if everything for Hashem is the same, okay, and he's everywhere in the same level, the same amount, what's the difference? When we say the higher world, the lower world, what is going on over here? Like, should we not use those words anymore because everything is the same? Hashem is everywhere in the same amount. Why are we saying batachtonim, elyonim? We have like the higher worlds and the lower worlds. What is going on here? So we need to understand that there's 2 points of view, 2 perspectives. From Hashem's perspective, there's the view from Hashem's perspective, and there's the view from us, from our perspective as creatures. But there's the view from Hashem. From Hashem, he is infinite, okay? From his perspective, all the worlds are equal. From Hashem's perspective, everything is the same. Okay, also it says that Hashem didn't change. He didn't change before creation, he didn't change after creation. We spoke about it a few times. Hashem is absolutely, absolutely the same. So Hashem is in the upper is everywhere in the same amount. So that brings us to the next question. That brings us to a question and saying, how, if Hashem is everywhere, how do we come closer to Hashem? Okay, if spirituality, if someone that's more spiritual is not closer to Hashem because Hashem is everywhere, so what does it mean? I'm coming closer to Hashem. Like, what does that mean? Like, a person that's spiritual is not closer to Hashem than somebody that's physical, that's not spiritual, if Hashem is the same everywhere. So it's complicated to understand.
Don't they say
So-
God is where we make space for him to come in?
Yes, absolutely. So that's from our perspective. That's what we're getting to. Give me a second.
No.
So from Hashem's perspective, Hashem is everywhere. So what does it mean that where are we over here? So from our perspective, the creatures, okay, Hashem is not revealed in the same amount in different places. Okay, there's some place. So from our perspective, if Hashem is very revealed, that's higher, and if Hashem is very hidden, that's lower. Okay, that's from our perspective. It all goes based on how much Hashem is revealed. Okay, how much Hashem is hidden. That changes from our perspective. But Hashem, from his perspective, he's everywhere. He's the same. But some places he's putting a cover. So we'll give an example. 1 second. Okay, so you understand that it's going to be upper. The more it's revealed, the more it's going to be upper, and the more it's hidden, the more it's going to be lower. Okay. Also, and so the more there's revelation, the more it's going to be a higher level. The more you see Hashem, the more you're connected to Hashem, the more you see Hashem, like you see a miracle, like let's say you're standing by Mount Sinai, you're standing by the crossing of the Red Sea. You know, Hashem is fully there. That's like the highest revelation. You feel so close to Hashem. But when you're in the Holocaust or you're October 7, you don't see Hashem. Hashem is completely hidden. So the perfect example to illustrate this is we spoke about it in last class. It's the light of the sun. The light of the sun is the same, but you have different windows and you can put different shades. So if you have a room that has all the walls are windows, you let in a lot of light. But if you only have a small window, you let in less light. And if you close your shades and you close all your doors, you can have complete darkness, but it's the same light, right? So Hashem is the strong light, but depending on how much we let him in, that's how much we're going to have Hashem's revelation. We can close all the shades, or we can open the windows and open the shades and be outside and be completely close to the light. So now let's go a little bit into Kabbalah. And it's, 1 second. Okay, so 1 second. So it's the same thing. It's not just how much we let Hashem in, but it's also how much we believe in Hashem. Sometimes you can have Hashem, we're completely aware of Hashem's existence fully. Hashem is completely revealed. And sometimes we a little bit forget about Hashem. Sometimes we don't see Hashem and we doubt Hashem. You know, we can go lower and lower. It's like how much we believe in Hashem as well. Anyways, according to the Kabbalah, all the worlds, the upper and lower worlds, there's a lot of there's a lot of levels of how much Hashem is revealed until how much Hashem is hidden, right? There's like, imagine you make like a graph with the light and it gets lighter and lighter and lighter, like more light and more light, like stronger light. And on the other side, it goes darker and darker. So it's called, in Kabbalah, it's called Seder Hishtalshelut. The concept of Hishtalshelut comes from Shalshelet, which means that it's basically a link of a bunch of rings linked. Okay, picture like a bunch of like a whole chain of rings. The higher it starts at a place where Hashem is 1000% revealed, and then it goes lower and lower and lower till down here in this world where Hashem is completely hidden, completely don't see him. Okay, but really they're all linked. Remember, which is saying that basically this world comes as a continuation of the upper world. It's not like here. It's not like there's one world where Hashem is hidden and one world Hashem and there's like a big wall between. No, it's all linked. The more you reveal Hashem, Hashem can be here. So the Kabbalah goes much deeper into this Seder Hishtalshelut, like this whole chain from the most revealed till the least revealed, is divided into 4 worlds. Okay. In general, each of the 4, I'm going to mention what those 4 worlds are, but each one has 10 sfirot inside. So you have 10, 10, 10, 10. So there's a lot of levels of how much Hashem is revealed and how much Hashem is hidden. So the highest world is Atzilut. Atzilut is where everything is good and you see in a very revealed way that there's nothing but Hashem. That's the highest. Then you have Bria. There's already a creation. There's already, it's mostly good, but there's a little bit of evil over there. There's a little bit of ego, a little bit of existence. Some people are starting to exist in there. That's Bria, because there's a creation. There's something separate from Hashem. There's a separate entity. It's not just Hashem. There's a new entity. Hashem created something. And the third level is Yetzirah. Yetzirah, it's half good, half bad. The ego starts getting more and more shape and form. It's like a whole human being, and I need my, and then the lowest world is Asiya. That's where we are. It's like there's mostly bad, very little good, and the whole ego is a complete separate entity. Like we're completely separate from Hashem, and we barely see that everything is godly. We see so much of ourselves. That's the world we live in. In our world, which is not just the world of Asiya, but it's the world of Asiya Gashmi. It's like the physical world of Asiya, whatever. It's really the lowest world that exists, where Hashem is completely hidden. What we see in front of our eyes is the laws of nature. When we see rain, we're thinking about, the cycle of, what's it called? Whatever, the precipitation, whatever, the whole cycle of the rain. Yeah. Or when everything we see, gravity, like we're all connecting everything to nature, to Mother Nature, to science, like that's the world we live in. That's what we see. Every person has a full existence of his own. Each one is concentrated on himself. Everybody's thinking, what am I doing here? Like, what should I do right now? And instead of thinking, what is my purpose in this world? What does Hashem want from me? Like, we're all like concentrated on ourselves, what we want to do. And to the point that some people completely don't deny the fact that Hashem exists completely. Like that's the world we live in. They're like, I don't need God. God is not part of my life. I have everything I need without him. I'm perfectly fine without him. Like I can take care of my needs. I don't need God. That's how hidden Hashem is all the way down here in this world. Okay. So we're going to read soon the next part of the Tanya, where the Alter Rebbe is going to explain the concepts of Elyonim, the upper worlds and the lower worlds. He's going to explain that for Hashem, there's no difference. He's the same high and low, like he's the same everywhere in the same amount. But the concept of high and low is depending on how much we see Hashem in a revealed way or in a hidden way, to what extent, even though Hashem is everywhere, but according to us, we receive Hashem's light in sometimes in a very revealed way, sometimes less and less, etc., until it's completely hidden. And that's because we as humans cannot handle Hashem's strong light. The original light of Hashem, like if you would be in Atzilut, like if we were there, like we would pass away. That's what happened by Matan Torah. Like we would pass. We can't handle Hashem's light. So Hashem has to show himself in a in a like in a
Yeah.
huh?
More portion.
No,
Yeah.
he had to
Contracted,
reduce-
contracted. He contracts
reduce
himself. He
to
reduces his light for us. No, he's not reducing himself. It's his light that's
The light,
reduced
yeah.
for us to be able to handle it. Okay, so what we see is less of his light.
Like in a camera.
It's like if you look at the sun when it's shining, you can't look at the sun. You need sunglasses, or you need to go into a room like with a shade, then it's easier.
Huge tube and then it's going smaller tubes. No?
No, listen to my example. I just said the sun of the light,
Okay.
the light of the sun. You can't look at it straight sometimes.
Right.
But if you put a screen, you get less of it. Does it mean that the light became smaller? No, but you got less of it because there's something that made it less for you.
That's
Okay.
how the old-fashioned cameras work. It's called tzamtzam. You
Yeah.
turn it and it diffuses the light.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what Hashem does. It's called tzimtzum. Okay.
That's why it's called.
Anyway.
tzamtzam.
So, and then he explains the concept of the seder hishtalshalut, like the fact that it goes like in those links from a place where Hashem is completely revealed to a place that is so low that it's called the lowest, that there's nothing lower than it. Like there's nothing, there's nothing lower than that, and that's the world that we're in, where we completely deny that is Hashem's existence. Like it's, and what it says there is that it's a place where the darkness is doubled. It's not just like darkness, but it's a darkness doubled. Why? Because a regular darkness, you know you're in the dark. But a darkness of a darkness is when you don't even realize you're in the dark, you think you're in the light.
Oh,
You know, like
yeah.
you don't even know you're in the darkness. Like that's how dark it is. You
Yeah,
think
yeah.
you're in a perfect world.
Yeah,
We actually
like-
think we're in a very nice world full of light. Perfect. I don't need Hashem. That's how much Hashem is hidden over
זה
here.
כמו פרעה. אני נילוס ואני יצרתיו. פרעה, he thought
that he created the
he
Nilus.
created the Nile, and he's like,
So
It can-
let's look inside the words, you'll understand everything clearly. But surely, before God, in Hashem's perspective, the distinction of higher and lower is not valid. One world is no higher than another, for he pervades all worlds equally. I thought you didn't have it there. He pervades all worlds equally. What then do our sages mean by saying that God desired an abode, like a dwelling place in the lower realms? What does that mean that Hashem wanted a place in the lower realms, in the lower world, if he's everywhere? The explanation of the matter, however, is that Hashem desired a dwelling place in that realm considered lower within the ranks of the world as follows. So he's explaining now. Before the world was created, there was only he alone, one and unique, filling all the space in which he created the world. Anything that could be conceived as of space or possibility for creation was filled with the Ein Sof light. Okay, it was unlimited, only him. In his view, indeed, it is still the same now. Creation brought no change in his unity. He is one and alone now, just as he was prior to creation. The change applies only to the recipients of his vivifying force and his light. Before creation, there was none to receive the divine light, force, and light. Creation brought into being these recipients, who received by way of numerous garments which veil and conceal God's lights. For without such garments, without sunglasses, let's say, they could not bear its intensity and would cease to exist. So it is written, for no man can see me and live. Okay, we can't stand to see Hashem bare, naked kind of thing. We need those garments, we need something. And as our rabbis of blessed memory interpret the words v'chai and live in this verse as referring to angels, thus even angels called chayot cannot see godliness except by way of garments which conceal him, thereby enabling him to receive his light. This concealment is the subject of the hishtalshalut, okay, the chain-like graded and downward succession of the world, and their descent from level to level, through the many garments that conceal the light and the life force emanating from him. The more concealment, the lower the descent, culminating in the creation of this physical, gross world. Okay, continuing a little bit more. This world is the lowest in degree. There is none lower than it in terms of concealment and of his light. And no world compares with it for doubled and redoubled darkness, Just want to show it to you in Hebrew right here. והוא התחתון במדרגה, it's the lowest in it, שאין תחתון למטה ממנו, there's nothing lower than it, בעניין הסתר אורו, like how much the light is concealed, יתברך, וחושך כפול ומכופל. Okay, that the darkness is doubled and redoubled. Nowhere is God lights as hidden as in this world. Okay, it's so hidden, remember, that we think we're living light. So much so that it is filled with klipot and sitra acha, which actually oppose God, saying, I am, and there is nothing else beside me.
You're like Pharaoh.
Okay, that's the world we're in. Okay, that's how low our world is in the sense of Hashem's concealment. Okay, lower world means Hashem is completely concealed. That's what low means. And in this concealed world is where Hashem wants to dwell, remember? Okay. So we asked in the beginning of the class, what is the purpose of the world, of this world, the lowest world? And we answered by saying that Hashem wants a dwelling place, specifically in this low world. At the same time, Hashem created also upper worlds. He didn't just create this low world. He created all the worlds, right? So, and they also have a purpose. All the worlds have a purpose, okay? All the worlds were created in one process. They were all created at the same time. And each one has a purpose in its creation, okay? Like each one is part of the full chain of things, okay? Each world is part of the chain, and they're all part of the same goal, technically, okay? So now we're gonna ask, what is the goal of all these worlds? Why didn't Hashem create just a low world, okay? What is the goal of what is the purpose of the creation of so many levels of this whole ishtalshalut? Okay, and also, is the purpose of God's creation in the upper worlds or in the lower worlds? Are we going to accomplish what Hashem wants when we're closer to Hashem, we're in a place where Hashem is revealed or where Hashem is hidden? Meaning, is this low world going to help us achieve the higher worlds, going to help us reach the higher worlds, or is the higher worlds going to help us reach the lower worlds? Like, which one is serving which? Okay, so, and if we're taking this question to our personal, like all the way down to our world, means it's going to go like that. What is the purpose of my me being? Like, what is the purpose why we exist? Are we here for the purpose of the way we are before we were born and after our 120, where it's all about our neshama without our body? Is that the goal? Or is the purpose now in this world while my neshama is in a body? Like, which one is more important? Which one is serving which? Is now serving, yes. But I'm saying, but sometimes you think I'm here in order to make the next world better, or is the next world gonna, like, which one is serving which? Which one is
Here to serve here.
No, to be better.
You want to do as much work when you are here, so you have less work to do up there.
Yeah, that's-
but there's also some work that you can't do up there.
Yeah,
All
you
these
cannot
mitzvot, you
put
can only-
filling on,
You can only, yeah.
do
So
that.
let's
Yeah,
let's
so
explain
you-
this. Like,
So
You
it's
have
here.
to do as much as you
so is
can.
this physical world the end goal, or the higher world is the end goal? Like, which one is serving which? So it's at first view, it seems like for sure the next world is the goal, like, because over there you're close to Hashem. Over there Hashem is revealed. That's the best place to be. Like, that's but at the same time, we know that this world, this physical world, is the purpose of Hashem's creation. Hashem wants a dwelling place down here in this world. Now, even after Hashem, even after revealed Hashem here, it's after we fulfill our purpose down here in this world, we revealed Hashem, but we didn't reveal Hashem to its fullest. Hashem is revealed to its fullest in the higher world. So maybe over there is nice. So, and we also all the time what we learn is that this world is a preparation for the upper worlds, for Olam Haba. Like, now is when we're preparing our body and our neshama, we're preparing it for Gan Eden. Like, that's the way we learned. But what the Alter Rebbe is telling us is something new, is that the whole purpose of all these worlds, all these upper worlds, are here for this physical world. Everything, the end goal is this physical world. That's what he's telling us here, something new. He says that the goal is specifically down here in this world. When a neshama is inside the body, that's the end goal. Like, it's not like we're preparing the body for there, as we would all think. How do we know this? We're going to prove it. The Alter Rebbe is going to prove it with saying that Hashem, that the descent is what brings Hashem the biggest light. The down here in this world, you can bring more light than in the upper worlds. Like, when Hashem is revealed down here, it's the highest revelation that cannot be reached. The revelation that you can bring when Hashem is revealed down here in this world is the highest and cannot be reached anywhere else. So let's explain this. We're going to take an example of a businessman. When you start a business, you're ready to invest a lot of money, lose money, take all the money that you have, take loans, go on a big minus because you're investing. How is that worth it? It's only worth it if at the end
You're going to make money.
you're going to make money. Otherwise, like, you're losing and putting money aside and borrowing money and, going in debts. Now, when you're looking at your gain at the end, it's not like how much money I made at the end of the year. You have to compare how much money I made,
Net.
the net. It has to be more than how much money I spent. There has to be an outcome that I gained, like
Yeah.
Okay, so that's clear. So it's the same thing with Hashem creating the world. We need to see if the fact that Hashem created the world, all these worlds, is creating a deficit, or like if Hashem's light is going down, when it's going down in this world, if there's no gain, what's the purpose of Hashem, of all these low worlds if there's no gain? What's the purpose? Like, there has to be a gain at the end of Hashem's being so hidden and of the descent so low. There has to be a gain. If you go into such a deficit of light of Hashem, the gain has to be in the end. Like, you have to gain more than what you had in the upper worlds. So it means that if you're in the upper worlds, you have Hashem, you have like so much of it, so much of godliness in a very revealed way, and you're going to go down and go in a deficit. The gain has to be even higher than what you had originally. You understand that? So what we see here, that in the beginning, really in the higher world, Hashem's light is infinite. It's the strongest light. Okay, and every world, there's less and less of it. Like, it's more and more hidden. So it sounds like it's not justified that Hashem is going, like, that the light is going down and down and down. It's not justified, because it's like the light is becoming so low and so little. But it has to be a purpose with a gain. And what we see here, the new thing that we're saying today is that the light that when you turn darkness into light, the light that you gained is stronger than the original light. Like, when you have, imagine now you have light, it feels regular. But if I turn off the light and I turn it back on, that light is going to feel so much stronger, because it's the light that came from the darkness. The light that comes from the darkness is stronger than the original light. That's what we're learning. That's what the Alter Rebbe is telling us here. That when we're bringing Hashem's light in this world, it's going to be much stronger light than in the upper worlds. So then the fact that we're going to reveal Hashem in the lowest world, it's going to be a gain, just like in the business. It's going to be worth it. The fact that we're revealing Hashem in the lowest world, going into like such a huge, the biggest deficit kind of thing, but over there, you're going to make a profit. The profit will be much more. It will definitely be worth it and be more than the original. It's a famous sentence that says Yerida letzorech aliyah, that it's a descent in order to go even higher. Sometimes when you run or when you throw a ball, or no, when you go with a bike, if you go down and up, you can, if there's a descent before going up, you're going higher than you would have been able to, thanks to the descent. The descent helps you go even higher. Or it's like sometimes you have an elastic, the more you pull it back, the further it can go. But if you just throw it, it's not going to go as far. So the descent is in order to go higher. So the descent that that Hashem's light is going through, it's not a descent. It's the more it's getting hidden, and it's going to be transformed and revealed in that strongest darkness, the light is going to be the strongest. So to conclude, what we're trying to say here is that in the upper worlds, so in all the worlds also, in all the worlds, the light is only going downwards. It's only falling, okay? But in the lowest, it can't fall anymore. It's only for the highest going up, for the biggest aliyah,
Yeah.
okay? So all these worlds are created for this physical lowest world. All these worlds are created so that it comes and falls and falls and falls down, so that it reaches the lowest place, and from the lowest place you're going to reach the highest place.
Yeah.
Okay, and not the opposite. There's actually a very cute thing. There's a debate in the Talmud between the Rambam and the Ramban. Okay, Maimonides and another one called the Ramban.
Mhm.
And their question is what they were fighting about is, what is Olam Haba? You know, sometimes we refer Olam Haba as the future world where our bodies will be where our neshama will be without a body after 120. That's one way of that's the way the Rambam talks about it. But the Ramban says that the Olam Haba is when Mashiach comes, when we will be in a body, and Hashem will be the most revealed. That's Olam Haba. Actually, it says that the truth is according to the Ramban, because that's what Chiyat HaMetim is. The whole purpose of the world is where there's going to be bodies coming back. The neshama will be in a body. That's what Olam Haba is. When Mashiach comes, it's going to have to be all physical. That's the purpose of the world, is that it should be physical. The neshama has to be in a physical body. Yeah.
Isn't it? ביום ההוא יהיה השם אחד ושמו אחד, like the upper and the lower will be one.
Hashem, there will be no upper and lower, because even from our perspective, Hashem will be revealed everywhere the same much.
Right. ביום ההוא,
Yeah, Hashem echad u'shmo
שמו
echad.
אחד.
It's already interesting.
That's
It's
what
already
I
like
thought
that.
it is, but maybe I'm
Could be from our perspective. As we said, like from Hashem's perspective, he's already only one, but not the
I
way
know,
we
but
perceive it.
it's like when you talk about the levels. For example, when the Jewish people were in Egypt and they were going down 49 steps of Tum'ah, right? If they would go one more, there's no way that they can go up. That's why God took them out. At the same time, according to what you
Yeah.
say, if you take a ball and you want to throw it high,
So it needs to be the lowest.
hardest that you hit it, then it jumps up, you
Yeah.
know? So
No, so there's something about being in the lowest place today, and that's when the revelation will be the strongest. Okay, so that's a little bit of when Mashiach is like, yeah.
yeah, we
Okay,
went
another
to-
thing we speak about is that it says "Yafa sha'a achat b'tshuva u'ma'asim tovim ba'olam hazeh mikol chayei olam haba." It's
Yeah.
better 1 hour of good deeds and tshuva in this physical world than a whole lifetime in olam haba. Why do we say that? Because it's only here, down here in this world, that you can turn darkness into light, that you can do the revelation of Hashem. Like
Yeah.
there's something much stronger that can only be accomplished here in this physical lowest world. Okay. So let's conclude this before we read. I'm going to summarize this before we go into the Tanya for the last part. It's a little bit long, the last part, but I'll just go through the points that we're going to be saying. First of all, the Alter Rebbe explains that the goal is specifically down here in this physical world and not in the upper worlds. And he's bringing proofs for that, as we explained. And he says that it's in this physical world that Hashem gets the most naches, because we're turning over the darkness into light, and in this world Hashem is going to be Hashem wants to be here in a dwelling place where he's going to be able to reveal himself without with complete revelations, more than that he can be revealed in the upper worlds. And it says that this can only come from a place of Hashem's desire, like it is the concept of desire as opposed to just wanting. And then he's asking the question, if in the upper worlds, so in the upper worlds, there has to be, like even in the highest world, Hashem already has to be contracted. There's already a little bit of of hiddenness that has to happen, because Hashem, when he's fully revealed, no one can stand by it. You have to put a little bit of sunglasses, like something. So there's already a tzimtzum, because it says that as soon as there has to be a tzimtzum, because otherwise all the existence will already, they will die. Like no one can make it. So Hashem needs to be. So how come down here in this world, in the lowest world, Hashem can be revealed without any hiddenness, like without hiding himself at all? Like in this world, Hashem will be able to reveal himself completely. Like how can that be? So he's explaining that that's why Hashem gave us the Torah. The Torah is what gives us the strength to receive Hashem's light as his fullest, without Hashem needing to contract himself, without any tzimtzum, and stay who he is. It's also like saying that the mitzvot are like the garments for the neshama, so that we should be able to receive Hashem's light. So the mitzvot and the Torah is basically what's helping us receive Hashem's light as its source, like as its strongest. And also whatever it explains in a different chapter completely, not in the Tanya, but in the Erika Kodesh, like in the next part, how specifically the mitzvot, specifically the Torah, is making the neshama able to receive Hashem's light at its fullest. And then he finishes off with bringing sources from the prophets that say that in the future Hashem will be able to reveal himself without any garments, and it will be the strongest revelation ever. So let's look at it inside. The purpose of the Hishtalshalut, remember the Hishtalshalut is like going there. The purpose of the Hishtalshalut of the worlds and of their descent from level to level is not for the sake of the higher worlds, since for them this constitutes a descent from the light of his countenance. Rather, the purpose of Hishtalshalut is the lowest worlds. Thus, the purpose of the Hishtalshalut in this world, for such was his will, that he finds it pleasurable when the Sitra Acha is subjected to holiness and the darkness of Klippa is transformed into holy light. So that in the place of the darkness and Sitra Acha prevailing through this world, the Ein Sof light of God will shine forth with greater strength and intensity, and with a superior quality of light that emerges from the darkness. So it's a Yitaron Aor Min HaChoshech. Remember, like when the light comes from the darkness, it's much stronger. When darkness is transformed into light, the resulting light is superior to our ordinary light, and will thus shine with greater intensity than its radiance. It will be stronger than in the higher worlds. There, in the higher world, it shines through garments and through concealment of the countenance, the concealment of the pneumonia, the internal aspect of the light, which conceal and screen the Ein Sof light, so that the worlds do not dissolve out of existence. For this purpose, the Holy One, blessed be He, gave Israel the Torah, which is called might and strength, for it gives us strength to receive such revelation without being overwhelmed by it. And as our rabbis say, the Torah gives tzaddikim the strength to receive the reward in the world to come, so that their existence should not dissolve within the divine light that will reveal itself in the hereafter without any garment. And it is written, and your teacher will no longer hide from you. Meaning, not as some interpret the verse, he will no longer withhold your reins, but following Rashi, he will no longer conceal himself from you with the edge of a robe of garment, and your eyes will behold your teacher. And it is also written, for they shall see eye to eye. It's a few quotes that he brings, meaning that the human eye will see as the divine eyes see. We will clearly see the revelation of God's light. As it is further written, the sun shall no longer be your light by day, for God will be your eternal light. Okay, so to summarize, we learned today that the purpose of the world in this, like the purpose of this physical world, is to make Hashem a dwelling place specifically in the lower world. We spoke about the concept of upper worlds and lower worlds, Elyonim and Tachtonim, that they're not based on they're not from Hashem's perspective because he's unlimited, okay? But there's nothing closer to him or further from him, but it's about the world, the way we perceive it, okay? Whether it's Hashem is more hidden or more revealed. And the new thing that we learned today is that the purpose of the world, of all the world, of the higher worlds, that's not the end goal. The end goal is that they all exist specifically for this physical world down here, because here's where the biggest revelation can happen. So two things I want to share with you to finish off. We speak about there's a man that came to a rabbi and said, I have a problem. And the rabbi cut him off and said, some people call it a problem, some people call it a challenge, and some people call it an opportunity, which means that everything starts from our perspective, from how we look at things. Okay, when we're in this world, we can look at this world as a problem. We have holiness inside of us, we want to express it, but the world is expressing the opposite, and the conflict between the holiness and the physicality is completely, it's too big for us to compete, and it makes us very weak. But when we know that the goal of this world is that Hashem wants us to bring Hashem's godly light in this physical world, it's telling us that this is not a problem, and it's not a challenge. This is an opportunity. Every time we have something in front of us, it's an opportunity to reveal Hashem's light. Okay, we came specifically into this world of darkness, into this world of lies, because our goal is to deal with all the challenges in front of us, to bring in them the holiness. Okay, and from such a perspective, we're not going to be weak, but we're going to be very strong, and we're going to do our purpose with happiness. We also speak about the concept, like I mentioned to you, that when the Alter Rebbe was in jail, there was this officer that came to him and asked him, why is Hashem asking Ayeka? There was the word Ayeka, where are you? He was asking the Alter Rebbe why. We mentioned it in one of the last few classes. Hashem asked Adam Harishon, where are you? Hashem didn't, and he's asking why Hashem is asking Adam, where are you? Hashem knows where he is. And so the Alter Rebbe explained to him that Hashem is not asking, where you physically are, but it's about asking ourselves where we physically are, where we are in our life. So actually, it says that when the Alter Rebbe answered this to the non-Jew, it saved him. It saved the Alter Rebbe from being too holy. Basically, when he was in jail, he was reaching a place where his neshama was leaving his body, because he was getting so close to Hashem in a very spiritual way. He was completely because all these physical things were so terrible that he let go of all of them. It's like, I only have Hashem. And he was so spiritual and so pure, nothing was bothering him. Nothing was hurting him, no comments, nothing that he was going through was bothering him. And when he's contemplated on the concept of Ayeka, where am I? Where are you? He understood that Hashem doesn't want his neshama to go high and high. Hashem wants him to be in this physical world. Hashem wants him to bring godliness and holiness in this physical world. Okay, Hashem wants him to bring Hashem's light to his students. Hashem wants him to spread Torah in this world. So that made him that literally saved him from going too much in Atzilut, but staying down here in the world of Asiya, staying in this world, because Hashem wants us to be here in this most physical world, in this challenging world. So when we learn today that Hashem wants us to have to create a dwelling place for him, we need to ask ourselves, Ayeka, where are we? In a much deeper way. That sometimes the more we connect to holiness, we can sometimes go too close to Hashem and we're forgetting that we're in this world. But that's not what Hashem wants from us. In an extreme way, a person can be so excited about Hashem and be so much in Torah that we forget that he has a family, forget that he has a work, forget that he has a life. That's not what Hashem wants from us. The purpose is that we build, that we bring Hashem into this very physical world with 2 feet on the ground, and to work, to walk, to connect with people, to connect with, our surroundings. Hashem wants us to be right here with our families, also with our physical needs, with our body needs. We should take care of our body. We should be in touch with our body. And all this in this physical world, be here, but all this, do it with holiness. Do it to the way Hashem wants. Bring holiness into the way we take care of our body. Bring holiness into the way we work, into the way we do our daily things. That's the way of that's the purpose of the world, is in the physical things to bring Hashem, in the daily things, in the regular things. Not Hashem doesn't want us to be angels. Hashem wants us to be those physical human beings, okay? And that's how the goal is, to bring full harmony between the physical and the spiritual, in full harmony all the time together. So we learned today what is the purpose of creation. That is to create a dwelling place for Hashem down here physically in this most physical, lowest world. Next week, we're going to learn when that's going to happen. When that will actually fully happen, okay, which is when Mashiach comes. And then in the following chapters, we're going to talk about how we can make it happen in Galut while Mashiach didn't come. It's through doing mitzvot. And then we're going to see who should be doing it. It's the Jewish people specifically. More than, like we'll talk about the difference between Jews and non-Jews. But I'm saying it specifically that all this purpose, now we know what it is, then we're going to talk about when, how, and who. This is like the goal of the meaning of life. I don't know if you see, but this is like the fundamental part of the Tanya, the fundamental part of our Jewish life, of how to live our Jewish life, what it means to be a Jew, what it means to have Hashem, what it means to have the Torah. It all starts in this chapter and what we learned today. Okay, I'm gonna stop this record.